Why, hello. At the time of the making of this video, I still haven't decided if I'm even going to create. I guess I'm leaning towards a YouTube channel. Um, I guess that feels most familiar. I'm not really looking into Instagram Reels and TikTok. I don't even have a TikTok account, and I don't know if I'm looking forward to getting one anyway. I'll all that to say is this is actually maybe like a 10th video that I made, just I guess to think about what it would be like to vlog. Um, most of my videos have been centered around some book hauls that I have made recently, from charity shops, and then kind of going over next week's TBR and last week at the time of this video's TBR, which was reading authors that I'd already read before. And so I did review those 6 authors and the 2 books, or the at least 2 other books that I had read from the author compared to. Anyway, I did some author and book sort of comparison analysis, and so those were like 5 to 10 minute videos. Today I'm just going to do a synopsis of all 6 books that were now read, so a recap. Maybe I'll give just a brief, and here's where I'll use the word synopsis of what each book was about. But I said more things about my experience with the book in each of those individual videos, so I don't plan on this being a long or drawn out video. I haven't really collected my thoughts in a way that might be incredibly cohesive, the way that a planning and or edited video would be. So if I do publish this, bear with me for some sort of stream of consciousness meandering thoughts. I'm going to go in descending order, meaning the last book I read of the week back to the first. And again, I'm just going to share a few thoughts, maybe a brief synopsis of what the book was about. Maybe any thoughts, if I haven't already shared, about where I'm going to place the book, since these books will be traded in the next week or so into little free library neighborhood book boxes. So the last book that I read this last week was by a beloved author known to me, books that I'd read so far in the past that I wasn't really able to do a comparison, and that is Cormac McCarthy. This book, Stella Maris, was published in 2022, so very recent, and it has a companion book. Didn't read the companion book and won't, because the current challenge is just to take what's available, like what's sort of meant for me or available in a trade at a little free library. Sometimes I have some luxury of picking what is available, say, in a charity shop. This book, the synopsis of this book is that there is a woman, a mathematician, in a mental hospital, which is Stella Maris, right? Located in the whole book is her dialogue with her therapist. This woman, this is in 1972. This woman's father was involved in the Manhattan Project. There's a lot of reference to Oppenheimer as sort of, and other people involved in the Manhattan Project as sort of like ties to collective consciousness, collective agreement on what is right and wrong, the idea of the use of mathematics as a paradigm with which to understand the world that isn't commonly understood, and that in itself could be a bit maddening. I loved the style of this book, that it was just dialogue. I'm not even a dialogue reader, but, you know, fair warning to anyone, which I might have already said, that could feel a bit dry for you. Cormac McCarthy is a bit dry. A lot to think about with a little, just like, doesn't build setting, doesn't build, you know, it's just dialogue. And it's just going to give you so much to think about. The next book is Anita Desai's Clear Light of Day. This book was an especially precious find, as I discussed in my previous video, because this book was somebody's mother's extensive collection. It was located into little free library book boxes as a way of which to share books that the late mother had, but also given an opportunity either via a website or via postcard, which I've already written back to this woman, to share stories with the love of books, the love of stories in honor of the late mother's memory. This book, Clear Light of Day, great book. Synopsis takes place in Old Delhi, India, right around the time of the assassination, of Gandhi, and looks at the fretting of what's happening to the nation, looks at identity, and most especially looks at family relationships and roles in family. The book that I mostly read and have only about 100 pages left till finish, and then there's a very long epilogue in this book, which I might not finish because I just can't stop getting a headache from the font, as I'd mentioned before, is Mario Vargas Llosa's The Green House. This book very much looks at life in harsh settings such as the jungle and the desert. It's set in Peru. This book was published in 1968, but it's set in Peru around the World War. It has some insights into the rubber trees and rubber trade, illegal and otherwise in Peru, Peru's positioning in the world during times of World War. And it also very much explores themes of colonization, of brutality, of sin. It's not an easy book to read for a lot of reasons, but this author is a very, very good author, and I would still go on to recommend this book. I might, as I mentioned before, put it into a book box after this week, even without finishing, because I can't not get a headache from this font. I've tried multiple different strategies, and I have to make a commitment to myself to not be so self-sacrificing that I need to finish the book, although the first 250 pages, which I've read, a little more than 250 pages, were a very good read for me. The next book is Nicholas Sparks' Every Breath. This is a very, very sort of classic, archetypical romance. Great, lovely, sweet synopsis. So if you get this book ever, please read the sort of part about kindred spirit and the author's notes in the beginning and the end. It's well worth your time to do that so that you can understand the synopsis of this book. This book follows star-crossed lovers, and love is fate, and takes place, as Nicholas Sparks do, and I think I said in a previous video South Carolina, and that needs to be amended. It's North Carolina. The book that I read before that I don't have with me because I've already traded it. So, and I've already even discussed the trade book. I'm just going to give a quick synopsis and show the book that I traded it for, to sort of have an artifact in my hand to show. But that book was Lucia by, I think it's Adriana Trigiani. Yeah, Adriana Trigiani. The synopsis is a young seamstress worker living in Greenwich Village in New York in the 1950s. This is a woman who's exploring being a career woman and the possibilities of that, but also juggling that between juggling being a career woman and the expectations of being a family woman, getting married. This is an Italian American who also has the great honor and privilege to go back to Italy. So there's a little small section of the book in Italy. It explores a little the roles of females and the roles of males in families, and how family can impact the decisions we make or not. Anyway, Lucia, I think it gets good ratings. nice little read. I traded it for this Krista Hanna's The Women after much contemplation if I was going to take this book, a historical fiction that I'm to understand takes place during the Vietnam era and is exploring the roles of women in said time. That is a large book. It will probably be read during some kind of a challenge where I will feel more compelled to read a large book than not. So the last book that I read, the first book that I read, and the last in this video of the 6 books, was Jeanette Wall's The Silver Star. The Silver Star is a coming of age novel. I love coming of age. It explores feminine themes, feminist even themes of what it's like to be a female with rights and thoughts and ideas and to live outside of the stereotypes. It also, what Jeanette Walls does is explores female relationships. So there's some sisters in this book, and there's a minor exploration of the relationship between those sisters. They start with a mom who like, I really related with the mom in this book. She ran away from a small town that was really kind of going nowhere. The town, like, there was nowhere to go in it, and she just ran away to California and other places, but the book starts in California. The girls kind of get abandoned by the mom, so they make a trip back to, I think it's Virginia, so the Northeast, to stay with an uncle and to kind of experience life in this small town. And that's the sort of synopsis of the book. It was a fun read. I won't be reading more Jeanette Walls likely, but I definitely appreciated that read. And it was a great kickoff for the week of reading authors that I'd read before, and most of them mostly recently. I traded that book for this one. This I got out of one of my favorite book boxes. In fact, I told myself I wasn't going to go to this book box because I had done a book haul not near this book box, kind of on my way to work. I decided one morning I was going early that I would sort of stop at boxes on the way to work and trade up books. And I didn't have a video about that because that happened before I decided to just maybe start making videos. I say all that to say is I went to this book box and this book was there. Many books that I probably would read were in that book box. So this is the one that's kind of excruciating for me, where I, I just commit myself to the trade, 1 for 1 or 2 for 2, and then sort of hope that books that maybe I'd have earmarked will be there when I get back. But if they're not, it's okay. There's a lot of books in this world that could be read. Ionia Sanction by Gary Corby is, it says a mystery, and it gives a mystery set in ancient times. So I predict that this is going to be fun. It's going to be a fun read. And I do love mysteries. I've said before, they're kind of my guilty pleasure. So I can see reading this book, in a time when I'm like heavily themed book, as there were several this last reading week, and I just need something that's just fun. Anyway, that's my week in review, 6 books. And next week, I've already done a video. It was actually the first video I made, maybe in this video series, about what my TBR for next week is. I've already started the first book on that, which is Whispers. And it's going smashingly well, and I plan to maybe make a video recap of that week, just to let you know how myself, maybe my future self, or you, if I end up posting, know how that, like, TBR for the weekish went. All right, bye.